Good morning everyone. So as you can tell, it's going to be another one of these morning walks, but I'm going to try and do a little bit better for you all. I'm going to try and put images up on the screen because I thought this would be like a good topic discussion as I'm on my way to work. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about budget decks that can compete post Blazing Dominion. And the reason I say post Blazing Dominion is that there's two decks, maybe some more as well, that come out in Blazing Dominion that I think are well worth talking about. So, what do I count as budget decks? Anything that is $100 or less. Now, I know $100 seems a lot, but what I'm trying to say is that's the cap. That is, you know, you can still add cards to make them better. At the end of the day, Harmonia is the brand new it's the brand new Fulos, it's the brand new Ash Blossom when it came out. It's the brand new hand trap right now in the format that does become, you know, insanely powerful. Probably ends up in 99% of the decks, unless your deck is like super duper tight on the extra deck. So these decks, of course, will not contain them, but these decks are still going to be relatively cheap. Some will be below $100 as well. So, thanks Mr. Big Lorry. Let's start off with the first one. So, one of the first ones I really want to talk about is the Clown Crew. Now, Clown Crew are currently like £10 to £12 online for a core. That's free of all of the brand new cards inside Blazing Dominion. They already have confirmed support, which comes out in the next core set, which is going to be Chaos Origins. So they've got future investment potential. They're not going to go up crazy amounts of money because they're only super rares, but super rares can sometimes fetch you a pretty penny, basically. Now what makes this deck so good? It's just a very simple mechanic. It's not anything too heavily combat or anything. And I feel that's kind of what I find with budget more times than not, is that a lot of control decks fit that budget requirement a lot easier, which we'll see with a couple of other decks on the list as well. Regardless, so you can play this deck with a multitude of different cards, because what it does is it negates the effects of monsters, or you can't activate the effects of monsters, especially from the extra deck or specials from the main deck. So what that opens up the door for is that you can play this deck with Cash Tearers, for example. I'm not saying you would, but you could add to your field, because you want your main normal summon to be the tribute summon of Bianca Viso. Everything else that could be special summon from the hand, like Cash Tearers, or specials from the grave, special from the banishment, could be quite useful. You can also play them with a very small Novell package, and it becomes a very balanced spell or trap deck. Because for those of you unfamiliar with how Clown Crew work, the Bian Canviso basically lets you draw cards equal to the number of monsters you tributed for its summon, and you can tribute it by tributing one, I think it's Xyz, Link, Fusion, Synchro, or Link, or even Ritual Monster. But more times than not, you'll tribute two, so you get to draw two cards. Then it also has a card which is, I think it's the Matinee, which is a continuous spell card. That during the end phase, you get to draw cards equal to a number of different types tributed. So by types, it means Xyz, Fusion, Link, Pendulum, So you can end up drawing like 5 cards, and then you get to set one spell or trap. So it means you can play cards like Super Polymerization. You can play, to be fair, you could even play them with Dogmatica, I think. But you'd get that. You could also play Dominus Purge. You can also play like Forbidden Droplets, Forbidden Crowns, Fallen the Virtuouses, you know, the list goes on and on and on and on. So the deck itself can be complete for about $50 to $60, which is, and it can still, I reckon it won't like top Worlds or top a YCS. I mean, I could be proven wrong, but right now it's a deck that will catch a lot of people off guard. So the next deck I'm going to talk about is going to be Sky Strikers. Now, Sky Strikers, of course, were one of the 3 decks in Legendary Modern decks, and straight away, the fact you can have pretty much a full Sky Striker deck for, like, well, it depends if you're buying the deck singly or as the product. If you buy as the product, you're paying 30. If you're getting it singly, you're paying like 10 quid, which is crazy. And then you upgrade it a little bit. I've already kind of done a profile on them. So yeah, you can build it really, really cheap, really, really easy. And what makes it so good is it has generally kind of a good call to matchup, because it can play cards like Forbidden Chalice, Forbidden Droplet, but it can also play Fallen the Virtuous. You could play Book of Eclipse, which I think could be a kind of a good card going into the next format. You could, and I'm not saying you would, you could risk and reward it and side in a Lava Golem if you're worried about multiple cards on the field. You can't really use Super Polymerization because you don't want a monster in your main monster zone. The Sky Striker is just really good, to be honest. They're kind of like this balance between control and combo, because they can go like really control or they can go really combo. So the fact they can combo most during the battle phase as well is really funny, because it lets you play around the bureau. So another deck that comes out in Blazing Dominion, which is probably going to push your budget to the edge a little bit more, is Red Dragon Archfiend. Now, I'm not saying again that Red Dragon Archfiend is going to dominate, but I feel that if the format we go into is very light and dark heavy, Red Dragon Archfiend can be quite useful with Bestials, and that can provide them with a decent amount of extra bodies on the field, but also extra disruption. Even if we don't go into like a heavy light and dark one, they also have the ability of just being played pure. Yes, in some builds you might need sparks. You're probably definitely going to be looking at Dominus Impulse, and remember as well, Impulse is due to have a extended art card in Battles of Legend. So in Battles of Legend, it means hopefully it will follow the same, hopefully close to the same printing as Rarity Collection 5, where maybe it won't just be an extended art card, but it might have a normal print. Could be wrong on that one. But hopefully it will have like Ultra extended art and then a Starlight extended art. And even then you can still probably pick up Rarity Collection 5 versions for nothing too crazy. I think like Purges kind of hit to about £8 to £10 depending on what rarity you get. There might even be a lot less, because they have, I'm pretty sure it came in Super, but I haven't seen it in Super. I know it's had an original Ultra print. Was it original Secret print? Original Secret print. It's had a reprint as Ultra. Then I'm pretty sure you can get it as like Collectors and Ulti, but I could be wrong on the Impulse side of that one. Regardless, the new sports are still generally really good, and it definitely gives the deck a bit of a buff. Again, I'm not expecting you to, you know, win or top nats with it. And don't get wrong, there might be an insane pilot out there that will be able to do it. What version they play, I don't know, but it's still a deck to be aware of, and it's probably the one that gets the closest to a $100 budget, yet it's still insanely good. So another deck that still to kind of figure out how good it is on its own now is Mitsurugi, because again, Mitsurugi came in the Legendary Modern decks. Mitsurugi is obviously incredibly budget to put together now, but Mitsurugi has been played pure in the past, but now with only one Habakuri, it makes it a little bit, like its consistency is a little bit off. So I'm not sure how close it stands on its own, and I'm trying to think what hybrids there are of it right now that's still standing, and taking into account what a possible Forbidden Limited list can do. But of all the decks I've mentioned already, I can't imagine any of them getting mass hits on a Forbidden Limited list that completely changes the way they play. So, but yeah, Mitsurugi being another deck that came in Legendary Modern decks could be something that's really easy to upgrade, doesn't cost an arm and a leg. At the end of the day, if you're like, I want an aggressive combo-ish style deck, you got Mitsurugi. And if you want a control combo-ish style deck, you've got your Sky Strikers. So that's the both worlds from one sealed product. The next one I want to talk about is probably the one that, as long as you have moved fast enough, can do the most, and that's Enneacraft. Now, I saw someone the other day selling a couple of deck cores of Enneacraft, which is all the old cards, by the way, for £35. To me, that was a steal. And the reason I say that it was a steal is because the only card in it that is like has some sort of value is Atari Mar, because it's an ultra rare. Everything else is probably considered as bulk common, or bulk. And then in the most recent Blazing Dominion, they get 3 brand new cards that you're going to max out on probably all of them. And the highest that was super rare. So what makes Enneacraft so good is in the early stages, people won't respect them. People won't notice because it's so much text. Like literally what will happen is you'll flip a pendulum or show a pendulum, and rather than your opponent asking for all the effects, they'll probably just go, what does that do? And you'll be like, right, well, I'll reveal it in the hand. It lets me summon any monster from my hand in face down defense position. I can't summon the entire turn I do this except in face down defense position. So they're like, right, okay, cool. And then I'll be like, right, what was the flip effect? And you go, right, well, the flip effect is this. And then they'll go, okay, and what else does it have? And you're like, right, well, it has a secondary effect, or it has a continuous effect. They're like, right, okay, cool. And then naturally, I mean, you can definitely tell them it's not a once per turn, by the way. And they'll go, okay, cool. But they'll probably forget that part, because the amount of times I've seen people play against Enneacraft and like Atari Mar will flip face up, completely book their entire field, or their monsters, sorry, and then they go, and then you manage to reset the Atari Mar, and they go, okay, cool, attack, and you flip them Atari Mar, and then it books the rest of the field. They're like, what? And then they'll pick it up, they'll read it, and go, and then they'll put it down, and they'll go, and you're like, yeah, it's not once per turn, like I told you, that kind of thing. So, Enneacraft in the early days will punish your opponent for not reading. Enneacraft does have some weaknesses. It's not a perfect deck by any stretch of the imagination. But what I'm saying is, if the deck core is still £35, which you can equate to $50 if you want to, and you like big heavy machines that have flip effects that are going to make your opponent freak out, Enneacraft's the one for you. And all the new cards are supers. Like, you probably get everything for about £3. Heck, someone at locals that's not playing them will probably give you the supers for free. And the Super Spider is mental. I've already talked about this card. Like, it flips on Chain Link 3 or higher. It negates all of your monster effects of Chain Link 3 and below. And then when it's flipped face up, your opponent cannot respond with card effects to their own card effects. So instantly cool tunes can't go Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, Chain Link 3 when that spider's face up on the field. So for cool tune players to play, or any player to play, they have to go Chain Link 1, and then you as the Enneacraft player has to go Chain Link 2, and then they have to go cool Chain Link 3, Chain Link 4, Chain Link 5, and like you have to go back and forth. So you control when that chain stops. So it's kind of funny. I'm not sure how, like, it's definitely going to stop them building their own chains, that's for sure. So if they link off a cool tune monster and you've already got Spider face from the field, and I think Spider's going to cause problems as well, because I think people are going to be like, wait, what? It does what? And you're like, yeah, it completely negates the rest of the chain. So yeah, I think Spider's going to cause a lot of issues. And then just trying to think of like some other decks that are in and around. I think you've got Power Patrons. Now, whether you want to class Power Patrons with, I think Dark Lords still stand a chance as well. I think Dark Lords are insanely good. And now that you get to add Power Patrons to them, I think it puts in a lot of work. If you got to it early, you could also argue Doomsday, because I think I saw someone selling a core the other day for £130. So obviously it's well above the $100 budget. But what I'm trying to say is, if you got to Doomsday early, if you were like, I see Doomsday doing stuff, I'll take the risk that the new card's not high. or even if the new card was high, as long as it was only a single card, you weren't really breaking the bank. And the new support, I'm pretty sure you pick up, because you don't really need the TCG exclusive. So you can probably pick it up for like, what, £5 I reckon, maybe less. So the Power Patrons themselves can become a deck. That might become a little bit more expensive if that was the case. But I still feel that they'll do some pretty impressive stuff. And again, the Power Patrons become like rank 10 turbo. But they also let you search out Dark Fairies, like a level 10 Dark Fairy. So search out Yugioh and let's go. And Yugioh's just been reprinted as well. So the whole deck is just a crazy amount cheaper. Trying to rack my brain of the other decks that I've put on the same level. So Blue Eyes is another one actually. So Blue Eyes is one that I nearly forgot, so apologies, Kaiba. Let the van go past. Yeah, I think Blue Eyes are still really, really good. I think they definitely have some bad matchups. Definitely against Radiance, because obviously Radiance play free MST that they can loop around, deal with True Light. But the fact that Primarch cards all got reprinted, the fact that it has Graveyard Negation, the fact that it stops 2 monsters being summoned at the same time if you get Spirit on the field. I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, but I feel there's a lot of, not disrespect, but a lot of people, actually maybe disrespect is the right word, a lot of people don't give it what it deserves. So a lot of people, like, when I mention Blue Eyes, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, did you not see it? Like, kind of like, got second place at this regional, or it just topped this regional. So, yeah, the fact of the matter is, the most expensive cards in Blue Eyes, to a point, were Purge, which is a lot cheaper and easier to get now, thanks to Rare Collection 5. It was also Primites, but with Ether Beryl, Lordy Load, and even Drill Beam, and now really cheap and easy to pick up. You can max out, and if you're looking for the Blue Eyes decks, you can get free Blue Eyes decks online. You can go to Amazon, and I think it's like £15 a deck, or you go to Tier 0 Games, and I'm pretty sure it's like £24, because they definitely re-released the Blue Eyes deck as well. So another deck that I think could have a decent chance is Fire Kings. And the reason I say that is Fire Kings is always this really weird deck that everyone forgets about, forgets it even exists. And then all of a sudden, like, Dinkaboo will rock up with it. Now, take nothing away from Dinkaboo, he's probably one of the best duelists in the world. Especially when it comes to creativity and underdog deck and rogue decks. I think he's like one of the best of that. And yeah, that's insanely cheap to deal with. I'm not saying it's still perfect. Again, it will have its fragilities. But it's just another deck that, like, structure deck decks are all still insanely good right now. So I suppose finally is like pure magnets. Apart from having to try and find all of the individual pieces to put it together, we all know magnets are insanely good, right? I will be quite surprised if magnets skate through a Forbidden Limited list. And when I say that, I don't expect cards that are new or have just been reprinted to get a knockback. I could be wrong. But, I mean, if you hit the beta, like if you put beta to 1, that's still fine, within reason. Maybe Nat Beast, it might be time for Nat Beast to go, I don't know. But, yeah. The deck's still incredibly good, very, very powerful. It's got a lot of high level attack monsters. It's got a lot of insane spells. Like all the new cards the Magnets received, when I say new cards, they came out in the last core set, are incredible. So, yeah, and with Magnets, again, I think, I'm not sure how much Fiendsmith tracks are and Lacrimas are. I'm pretty sure they're a little bit more expensive than they were. Which probably kills your budget a little bit, but the idea would be just playing Magnets pure with Super Poly can be insanely good. And the fact of the matter is, now when we go into the Cool Tunes meta, you can play Super Poly to Sea Monster of Theseus, and the Sea Monster of Theseus is a level 5 tuner. So level 5 tuner plus beta equals level 8 synchro, which you're already kind of like naturally playing anyway. So yeah, just get a quick time check. Perfect, I've got like 7 minutes, so I'm kind of just wrap this one up here quite nicely, really, as the sun comes up over my, just might blind you a little bit. There you go, just over the shoulder. So yeah, budget decks. I think we're in a very good place in regards to that. I don't think you need to break the bank for anything like that. I think it's all relatively cheap, relatively easy to put a decent deck together. Now, when you compare that to cool tunes, right? So if you wanted to play max cool tunes, like you want the 3 harmonias and everything, you're staring down easily right now like 600 plus, easy. So for a sixth of that money, you can play any of the decks I've just listed. Branded Drake it out, I'll be amazed if it survives. I would put Branded in the budget category, but you know, I think Falling in White is just too important. And at like £40 a copy, especially the fact that Branded just won the Swiss Nats, that can very easily go up in price as well. So that kind of keeps them out of the budget category. There probably are some other decks that I haven't mentioned that can do insanely well, but basically, if you choose a deck that you feel is going to be safe for the next list, so Clown Crew, Enneacraft, I still think Enneacraft. Enneacraft is going to be my pick. Like, it's going to be that underdog deck that you can build for £50 or less very, very easily, and I reckon it's going to cause your opponent so many headaches that you're going to have the rogue factor on your side. Like, their biggest weaknesses are Drone Lockbird, which is limited to 2, and if it gets hit on the list anymore, you're skating free turn 1. Ghost Ogre, which some people are playing, some people aren't, and even then you do have a backup win con option, and you do have a way to recycle your Enneacraft. And number 3 is like Field Breakers, but the only Field Breaker that they can't stop is something like Evenly Matched. So if going off post-siding, if they expect you to be playing breakers like Rogeki's Lightning Storms, even Mystical Space Typhoons, they can directly search out the Scorpion, and the Scorpion flips Protection Destruction. So like, they've got everything they need, and I think it's going to be very, very important and very, 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 I'm not saying it's going to win massive events, but for, again, 1/12 of the price of Cool Tunes. Cool Tunes are going to have a target on its back from day 1, and they could possibly get a target on their back for a Forbidden Limited list all the way up. Whereas Enneacraft will skate through. You've paid a fraction of the price, and if you wanted to start upgrading it, you could do without, you know, you've got a £50 budget if you still want to work towards that and get everything you need. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go grab my train. Hopefully this has been a bit more informative of a walkthrough, and if I've had the time, I've been able to put images up on the screen here for you as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a very good rest of your day, and I will see you all again tomorrow, hopefully, where I'll be able to bring you, I'm waiting on some X-Saber cards, I'll be able to bring you an X-Saber profile as well. Anyway, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.